How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Tales from the Darkside. This is Season 4, Episode 11, and this one's entitled Love Hungry. The episode originally aired February 21st, 1988, and was directed by John Strysik. The episode stars Sharon, Madden, and Larry Gelman. And I have to say, we're in for a doozy this time around. This episode of Darkside gets pretty darn bizarre. It's about an overweight woman that inadvertently gets signed up for this special dieting program where they give her a device that allows her to hear food. And yeah, the food turns into little puppets and starts talking to her. That is very bizarre. I remember watching this episode and starting it out and going, okay, this seems like it's going to be pretty standard. Then that shoe drops and you see what this episode's about, and you're like, wait, what's going on? And by the end of it, it gets so strange and so bizarre and so weird. Like, I can't say this is a good episode of Darkside, but it's definitely going to be one that sticks in your head. You're gonna say, hey, remember when Darkside gave us this, like, horror version of VeggieTales? It's pretty out there, and I can definitely appreciate it for that. So yeah, not a good episode, but in its strangeness, I wound up kind of enjoying it. So yeah, definitely just check it out, even if just to say you've seen it. But this is probably going to be the strangest episode of the season, or at least if it's not, I wonder what else we have in store for us. But without further ado, let's break down and analyze the episode a little bit. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers. I just want to say my piece on a few plot points. I'll be avoiding the end bits, and I'll try not to ruin anything major, but without further ado, let's dive right in. We open up with this woman getting home, and we get to see a bit about her daily life. She has a bunch of plants. She also has a device installed in her fridge that has a little speaker that will lecture her every time she opens the door, some sort of gimmicky weight loss routine. And then she also works as a telemarketer. Now, it is weird that we get all this information, and most of it doesn't really have much impact on the story later. I get we have to set up characters, and I guess the speaker in the fridge does introduce her conflict, but we get a whole bunch, and it doesn't add up to much later. Well, she sees an ad in the newspaper for a new weight loss company called Your Wait Is Over. Fun little pun there, it's like a Bob's Burgers business. Well, it turns out they just call her up and they tell her about the product and then they send it over to her. She never gave them any money and she has no idea how they found her or knew she'd be interested in this. I don't know how their business model works. It's probably magic or something, but that's the way Anthology horror goes. And yeah, because she didn't sign up or seek it out herself, it does take away a little bit of the lesson, you know. If she had actively sought out the weight loss, then the dark twist against her would have more sense from a plot structure, but whatever. She opens the box and finds a mysterious hearing aid inside of it, and decides to hold off on using that for just a little bit. The phone rings again, and she's actually contacted by her old high school boyfriend, who just so happens to be back in town for a little bit, and wants to get back together with her and invites her on a date. The two go to a restaurant and seem to be hitting it off quite well, and we get a bit where she starts complaining about how hard it is to lose weight, and it does seem a little bit awkward for the guy. And I do like how this illustrates how the date's working, and the only thing making it awkward is all the stuff that's still stuck in her head. If she had just put that aside and not thought about it, the date would have probably gone way better. And to be fair, they also didn't cast a woman who's that overweight, especially by today's standard. And at first, when I saw the beginning of the episode, I was like, yeah, maybe that's a mistake, but when you get to this scene and you see that this guy doesn't care, maybe that's more just to illustrate how little the problem actually was. I don't know. But of course, the date's interrupted momentarily when the guy has to go make a phone call, and while he's away, she opens up that mysterious earpiece and puts it in, and finds that she can now hear food. She looks around the restaurant in a very bizarre scene and sees all the food screaming as it gets eaten by the patrons. Yeah, when this scene happens and I saw what the episode was really about, I was like, oh, we're heading into very, very strange territory here. The date is of course cut quite short, and when she goes home, she starts talking to her food, and we get little puppets of a pear, a banana, and an apple, and they of course beg for their lives. Two things really quick. One, the banana, pear, and apple aren't going to be that bad for you. I mean, it's fruits and vegetables, like that's not going to be too detrimental to your weight loss journey, although that being said, I'm not a doctor or anything. But two, I actually did see this study recently that says that plants that we eat do stay conscious and feel more than we think they do, so leave it to the stupidest episode of Darkside to be the one that's actually kind of true. Whatever. She has some weird conversations with the food, especially because she is getting hungry, and what she's supposed to do, not eat ever again? She has to eat something. And I do like they do bring up briefly that the fruit would just rot anyway, and the pear gets a little bit nihilistic, so that's kind of funny. And I won't say where it goes, but we did lean into the horror element towards the end, and it was actually quite a fun surprise. So yeah, not a great episode of Darkside. There are flaws, and the concept isn't really super scary as it is bizarre, but it is one of those things that's kind of so bizarre it has to be seen to be believed. I mean, Darkside doing a weird little fruit puppet thing? Okay, I'll check that out. Yeah, not great, but very memorable, and at least it's different, so sure, why not? Go ahead. A strange and off-kilter recommendation, but I guess I'm gonna have to recommend this one. Kind of a weird thing to say, huh? Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Darkside playlist. If you guys want to see me talk about the past episodes of this series, you should be able to find them there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.